Have you ever stopped to ask yourself why you're waiting for someone else to tell you that you're good enough? Think about it. How many times have you hesitated, doubted yourself, or stayed quiet because you were afraid of what others might think? What if I told you that the permission slip you've been searching for doesn't exist outside of you? That everything you need to feel whole, worthy, and unstoppable is already within your grasp? Let's pause here for a moment. Close your eyes if you can, or just take a deep breath. And really let that sink in. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. And yet, somewhere along the way, life convinced you otherwise. Society whispered lies into your ear. Lies like, you're only valuable when others approve, or your worth depends on how much you achieve. These whispers became louder over time, drowning out the truth. You were born worthy, no conditions, no fine print, just pure, unshakable worth. But here's the hard truth. Most people go through their entire lives without realizing this. They wait for applause, for validation, for someone to finally give them the green light to step into their power. Meanwhile, they stand frozen, stuck in a cycle of self-doubt, fear, and hesitation. Does any of this sound familiar? If it does, don't worry. You're not alone. In fact, almost everyone struggles with this at some point. But staying trapped in this mindset comes at a cost. It robs you of your joy, your confidence, and your ability to live authentically. What if I told you that the permission slip you've been searching for doesn't exist outside of every day, knowing that everything you need to feel to decide your value and unstoppable is already within your liberating, doesn't it? Let's pause here for a moment. Well, guess what? By the end of this video, you'll walk away with tools and insights that will help you start loving yourself fiercely and unapologetically. And as a bonus, I'll share a powerful exercise at the very end that has transformed thousands of lives. So stick around till the end. You won't want to miss it. Before we dive deeper, let me remind you of something important. This isn't just another motivational speech. This is your wake-up call. A chance to rewrite the story you've been telling yourself about who you are and what you deserve. Because here's the thing. When you stop waiting for permission to love yourself, magic happens. Doors open, opportunities appear, people start respecting you more, not because you changed who you are, but because you started respecting yourself first. So, are you ready to claim the life you've always dreamed of? Are you ready to stop giving away your power and start owning it instead? If the answer is yes, then keep listening, because today we're going to unpack exactly why you've been waiting for permission and how you can break free from that pattern forever. Let's get started. So, what does self-love really mean? Let's clear the air, because this term gets thrown around a lot, but it's often misunderstood. Self-love isn't about being selfish or indulging in every whim. It's not about bubble baths, face masks, or treating yourself to fancy dinners, though those things can be nice. True self-love runs deeper than that. It's about accepting yourself fully, flaws and all. It's about looking in the mirror and saying, I see you, I accept you, and I'm on your side. Think of self-love as the foundation of everything you do. Without it, even your biggest achievements will feel hollow. Why? Because if you don't believe you're enough, no amount of external success will ever fill that void. You'll keep chasing the next goal, the next milestone, hoping it'll finally make you feel whole. But here's the truth. You already are whole. You just need to recognize it. Self-love is also about honoring who you are. It's choosing to respect your boundaries, protect your energy, and prioritize your well-being. It's saying no when something doesn't align with your values, even if it disappoints others. It's understanding that taking care of yourself isn't a luxury, it's a necessity. When you honor yourself, you send a powerful message to the world, I matter. Now let's talk about why this matters so much. When you practice self-love, you shift from surviving to thriving. You stop letting fear dictate your choices and start making decisions from a place of strength and authenticity. You become unstoppable because you're no longer dependent on anyone else's approval. The opinions of others lose their power over you because you've already given yourself the validation you once sought from them. But here's the beautiful part. Self-love isn't just for you. When you love yourself deeply, you inspire others to do the same. Your confidence becomes contagious. Your peace becomes magnetic. People around you begin to rise too because they see what's possible when someone truly embraces themselves. That's the ripple effect of self-love. It doesn't just transform you, It transforms everyone you touch. Still, it's important to acknowledge that self-love isn't always easy. There will be days when doubt creeps in, when old habits whisper lies in your ear. But remember this, every time you choose to show up for yourself, you're building resilience. You're proving to yourself that you're worth the effort. And slowly those moments add up. They create a new narrative, one where you are the hero of your own story. If you're wondering how to start practicing self-love, here's a simple truth. It begins with awareness. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself. Are you kind? Are you patient? Or are you harsh and critical? Start small. Celebrate one thing about yourself today. Maybe it's your courage for showing up right now. Maybe it's the way you care for others. Whatever it is, own it. Let it remind you that you are enough, exactly as you are. This journey won't happen overnight, and that's okay. Growth takes time, but every step forward is worth it. Every act of self-love brings you closer to the person you were always meant to be. And trust me, that person is extraordinary. So why do we find ourselves stuck in this endless cycle of waiting for someone else to validate us, approve of us, or give us the green light to move forward? It's a question that cuts deep because it strikes at the very core of how we've been conditioned to think and feel. From the moment we were born, society began shaping us, telling us what success looks like, what beauty means, and how much effort we need to put in just to be good enough. And somewhere along the way, we internalized these messages. We started believing that our worth wasn't inherent, it had to be earned. Think about your childhood for a moment. How many times did you hear phrases like, if you work hard, people will notice? Or maybe you were told, don't stand out too much, blend in instead. These seemingly harmless comments planted seeds of doubt in your mind. They taught you that your value was tied to external factors, grades, appearance, achievements, or even other people's opinions. Over time, those seeds grew into weeds, choking out your natural sense of self-worth. You learned to seek approval from teachers, bosses, friends, partners, anyone but yourself. But here's the thing. No one ever explicitly gave you permission to stop seeking validation. No one sat you down and said, hey, guess what? You're already worthy. You don't need anyone else's stamp of approval to exist fully and authentically. That lesson never came, so you kept searching. You kept waiting for someone to tell you it was okay to take up space, to chase your dreams, to love yourself unapologetically. And while you waited, life moved on without you. This pattern isn't just frustrating, it's exhausting. Constantly seeking permission drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and keeps you playing small. It forces you to live by someone else's rules, leaving little room for your own voice to emerge. But ask yourself this, who exactly are you waiting for? Is it a parent who never gave you the praise you craved? A partner who doesn't understand your depth? A boss who only sees you as a cog in their machine? Whoever it is, they don't hold the power you've given them. The truth is, they're probably too busy dealing with their own insecurities to focus on yours. Let's break this down further. Human beings are wired for connection. We crave relationships, community, and belonging. There's nothing wrong with wanting to feel accepted. However, when that desire turns into dependence, it becomes toxic. Your need for approval starts controlling you. It dictates your choices, stifles your creativity, and keeps you trapped in fear. Fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. Here's the liberating part, though. You weren't born this way. This habit of waiting for permission is learned behavior, and anything learned can be unlearned. Once you realize that your worth isn't negotiable, something shifts inside you. You begin to see that every second spent waiting is a second. Every ounce of energy poured into seeking validation could have been used to build yourself up, to create, to grow, to thrive. Imagine waking up tomorrow knowing that you don't need anyone's blessing to pursue your passions. Picture yourself stepping into your power, not because someone finally gave you permission, but because you decided you were done asking for it. What would that look like for you? Would you speak up more, take risks, set boundaries, love yourself fiercely? When you reclaim your authority, possibilities expand. Life feels lighter. You start moving through the world with purpose, not apology. And yet, breaking free from this mindset requires courage. It demands that you confront years of conditioning head on. It asks you to challenge the beliefs that have held you back for so long, But remember this, courage isn't the absence of fear, it's taking action despite it. Each time you choose to honor yourself over seeking approval, you chip away at those old patterns. You rewrite the script. You step closer to freedom. You deserve to live a life where you call the shots, a life where you decide what matters most, not anyone else. So let today be the day you start questioning why you've been waiting. Let it be the day you realize that permission has always been yours to claim. Because when you stop waiting for someone else to tell you you're ready, you discover something incredible. You already are. Let's talk about something we've all fallen for at some point, the myth of external validation. It's this idea that someone else holds the key to your happiness, confidence, or sense of worth. Somewhere along the way, we convinced ourselves that if only we could get that promotion, win that person's approval, or hear those magic words, "I'm proud of you," we'd finally feel complete. But here's the raw truth. No one outside of you has the power to make you whole. Not your boss, not your partner, not even your closest friends. That power has always belonged to you. Think about it. How many times have you poured your heart into something, hoping for recognition, only to be met with silence? Or maybe you did receive praise, but it faded quickly, leaving you hungry for more. That's the problem with relying on external validation. It's fleeting. It doesn't stick. One compliment can lift you up, but one criticism can bring you crashing down. You're essentially handing over your emotional well-being to forces you can't control. And let's be honest, does that ever really work out? The truth is, waiting for others to validate you keeps you stuck in a cycle of dependency. Every time you look outward for reassurance, you reinforce the belief that your worth comes from somewhere outside yourself. But here's what they don't tell you. No one can give you what you already possess. You are inherently valuable, not because of what you do, how you look, or who likes you, but simply because you exist. Your worth isn't earned, it's given, it's unconditional. And until you embrace that, you'll keep chasing something that was never missing in the first place. Now, let's dig deeper into why this myth is so pervasive. Society thrives on comparison. It feeds off our insecurities and convinces us that we're not enough unless we measure up. Social media amplifies this lie by showing us curated highlight reels of other people's lives. We scroll through images of perfect vacations, dream jobs, and picture-perfect relationships, and suddenly we feel inadequate. We start believing that if we could just reach their level, if we could just get the same likes, comments, or followers, we'd finally feel okay. But here's the catch. Even the people posting those pictures are often struggling with the same doubts. They're playing the same game, trapped in the same illusion. Breaking free from this myth starts with understanding its roots. At its core, the need for external validation stems from fear. Fear of being unseen, unheard, or unloved. It's a survival mechanism deeply ingrained in human psychology. Our ancestors relied on social bonds to survive, so seeking acceptance became a way to ensure safety. But in today's world, where physical survival isn't the primary concern, this instinct works against us. It keeps us tied to the opinions of others, preventing us from stepping into our true potential. But here's the beautiful thing about myths. They lose their power when you stop believing in them. Once you realize that external validation is just an illusion, you begin to see it for what it truly is, a distraction. A distraction from the real work of building self-worth from within. When you shift your focus inward, everything changes. Suddenly, you're no longer at the mercy of other people's moods or opinions. Their approval, or lack thereof, no longer defines your day. Instead, you become the source of your own strength, your own joy, your own fulfillment. This doesn't mean you'll stop caring about connection or community. Relationships will always matter. They're part of what makes life rich and meaningful. But there's a difference between valuing connection and depending on it for your sense of worth. Healthy relationships thrive on mutual respect and authenticity, not codependency. When you come to the table as someone who already knows their value, you attract people who honor and appreciate you for who you are. So, how do you start dismantling this myth in your own life? Begin by noticing where you're giving away your power. Are you basing your decisions on what others might think? Are you holding back your truth to avoid judgment? Each time you catch yourself doing this, pause. Ask yourself, what would I do right now If I didn't care what anyone else thought? Then take one small step in that direction. Over time, these tiny acts of defiance add up. They build a new foundation, one rooted in self-trust and inner authority. Remember, your worth isn't a prize to be won or a stamp to be collected. It's already yours. The moment you stop looking for validation from others is the moment you reclaim your freedom. You step into a version of yourself that's unstoppable, unshakable, and utterly authentic. And that's where the magic happens. Because when you let go of the need for external approval, you create space for something far greater. A life lived on your terms, fueled by your passion, guided by your purpose. Let me share a story with you. A story about someone just like you. Someone who felt stuck, unsure, and weighed down by the need for approval. Her name is Sarah, but she could easily be anyone sitting right here, listening to this message today. For years, Sarah lived her life trying to fit into boxes that weren't built for her. She worked tirelessly to meet everyone else's expectations, her parents, her boss, her friends, all while silently wondering if she'd ever feel good enough. Sarah had dreams, big ones. But every time she thought about pursuing them, fear would creep in. What if people laughed at her? What if they told her she wasn't talented or smart enough? So instead of taking action, she stayed small, convincing herself it was safer that way. She spent hours scrolling through social media, comparing her behind the scenes to everyone else's highlight reels. Each post seemed like another reminder that she wasn't measuring up. The more she compared, the quieter her own voice became. One day, something shifted. It wasn't a grand moment or a dramatic event. It was subtle, almost unnoticeable at first. Sarah stumbled across an old journal she used to write in as a child. Flipping through its pages, she found words filled with hope, curiosity, and courage. There was no hesitation in those entries, no second guessing, just pure belief in herself and her ability to create something beautiful. As she read, tears streamed down her face, not out of sadness, but out of realization. Somewhere along the way, she had lost touch with that version of herself. That fearless girl who didn't wait for permission to dream, to try, to fail, and to rise again. That night, Sarah made herself. She decided she wouldn't let fear dictate her choices anymore. She started small, almost imperceptibly. Instead of scrolling endlessly on her phone, she picked up a pen and began writing again. Not because she wanted likes or shares, but because it felt authentic. Because it reminded her of who she truly was beneath all the noise. Slowly, she started saying yes to things that scared her. She applied for opportunities she once thought were too far out of reach. She stopped apologizing for taking up space and started owning her presence. Of course, there were setbacks, days when doubt crept back in and whispered lies in her ear. But each time it happened, Sarah did something powerful. She reminded herself of her worth. She looked in the mirror and said, "I don't need anyone's permission to be me." And over time, those words became truth. People noticed the change in her, not because she tried harder to impress them, but because she stopped caring so much about their opinion. Her confidence grew naturally, effortlessly, because it came from within. What's incredible about Sarah's journey is that it wasn't magical or extraordinary. It was human. It was messy and imperfect, full of stumbles and triumphs alike. Yet it transformed her life completely. By choosing to stop waiting for validation, she unlocked a level of freedom she didn't know existed. She realized that the only person standing between her and her dreams was herself. Once she gave herself permission to shine, nothing could hold her back. Now, why am I sharing this story with you? Because it's not just Sarah's story, it's yours too. Maybe your details look different. Maybe you're struggling with relationships, career doubts, or feelings of inadequacy. But deep down, we're all fighting the same battle, the battle against our own limiting beliefs, the battle to reclaim our power and live authentically. The beauty of this fight is that you already have everything you need to win. You don't need special tools, connections, or qualifications. All you need is the willingness to show up for yourself, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when it scares you. Every step forward, no matter how tiny, brings you closer to becoming the person you're meant to be. Think about where you are right now. Are you waiting for someone else to tell you it's okay to take the leap, to follow your passion, to believe in yourself? If so, ask yourself this: what if that moment never comes? Will you spend your entire life standing